Hey, there we go.
What is this, episode
This is
8?
episode...
I think it's 8.
That's a great noise.
It's episode something.
It's episode 235. Welcome to episode 235.
Could be 7 as well,
I think it's 8.
I think it might be 8. I think the last one was 7. Yeah, the last one was 7.
The last one was 7.
Yeah.
So this is 8. Welcome to episode 8 of the Chicken Coop Podcast.
Yep.
We're going to roll that
Gesundheit.
again. Yeah, thanks. All right. Shall we get started?
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Hey, dear guests and esteemed viewers.
Start again. It's a terrible fucking intro.
All right. Welcome to the Chicken Coop Podcast. My name is Adrian.
My name is Alex.
And Jacob has food poisoning.
Yep.
Today, so he's not going to join us. We are here to discuss a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of a light one. We're doing that thing again, that really fun thing. Remember the last time when we all got together and we cooked that brisket? And
Our most popular episode, I believe, right?
Yeah, I guess so. And it malfunctioned, and we got fucked. And it was such a disaster for us to produce that we took a 6-month hiatus afterwards. But here we are in our triumphant return,
Doing it again.
doing it again because we don't learn from our mistakes.
Do you want to tell the fun story about the what you and your brother did with the brisket last night? Because you went to Costco.
We went to Costco and we found this brisket, and it was
22-pound brisket.
22 pounds.
How much?
$3.99 a pound.
So
$80. $88.
Which is insane.
Which is insanely cheap for a full, massive brisket.
Normally we're getting...
Like,
I think the biggest we've ever done was 17 pounds, and then you trim it down, and it ends up being like 10 to 13 pounds that you
10
smoke.
10 to 13 pounds for like $70.
And then, it's like an hour to hour and a half per pound to smoke, and then you got to rest it for a couple hours. So a 22-pound brisket is almost a 24-hour ordeal.
I mean, I started it at midnight last night.
Yeah.
Which isn't ideal. I wanted to start at like 10 p.m. last night.
But what happened, Adrian?
So we had this smoker that we got from his old landlord.
Yeah.
The guy was clearing house, moving out of the state. And we found
we used it for what?
We'd used it at his place a couple times.
Since then we've used it for what, on and off for a year and a half?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. Yeah.
We've put way more mileage through that thing than it rightly should have had.
Probably.
Last night the fan goes out as I'm loading in this 22-pound brisket. So we tried to troubleshoot it. Mick and I troubleshot it for an hour or so.
This is at what, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
Like, we started at like 8:30. So the idea was that he was going to just help me season it, put it on, because it's a 2-man job to like just move the damn thing.
So did you... by the way, this is a Traeger grill, and it's an old Traeger.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing had been sitting outside
for ages. I don't think he covered it.
10 years? He did cover it, but he
Yeah.
never used it.
Yeah.
The only person that used it the entire time I was there was me.
Yeah. So we were troubleshooting starting at 8:30, and by like 9:15 we realized it's not going anywhere. We looked up like 10-15 YouTube videos, opened up like the bottom of it, fucked with the fan, spun the auger manually, turned it off, turned it on, held it upside down, literally the whole gamut of things. And the damn thing couldn't run, and we had already, like fools, invited a whole bunch of people tonight to come eat it, and they're gonna start arriving in like
and also just having 22-pound brisket. So
we can't eat it ourselves.
we'd planned on... Adrian was going to say, okay, I'm going to put it on at 9. I'm just going to stay up all night, have some like cat naps throughout the night to deal with it,
to baby
because that Traeger has got a small hopper, so you got to spray it every so often, and two,
I would have had to refill it like
at
4 to 8 times that day.
And so I try and call Adrian at probably 10 last night to see whether you'd put it on or not, and you text me back saying, troubleshooting, I'll get back to you in 20. And I was like, okay, that doesn't sound good.
And when he called me, Mick and I were setting up a brand spanking new Traeger that we had made an emergency run to Home Depot.
Oh yeah, so there we go. So
last night.
So so you guys at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you drive to
Home Depot.
What made you decide to fuck it?
Well, because we already have the brisket. It's already been seasoned. It's laying on the counter. It's not vacuum sealed anymore. So we can't like use it.
Yeah.
We can't like stay, okay, next weekend we'll do it. Like,
so you
it's
found
there.
an amazingly such a cheap brisket.
The cheapest
You
brisket.
didn't even have to trim, right?
No trimming involved.
And then you had to spend how much money on a new trim?
I'm not willing to disclose that information.
Too much money.
So the least expensive brisket became the single most expensive brisket we'll ever make.
Yeah.
So
but that thing will last, considering the last one, that thing's going to last
a decade more.
ages, and it's 3 times the size, 2 times the size, and it's got racks inside it, right? So
it's got 2 racks, and it's way longer. So I'm not concerned about it.
It's a good buy.
Yeah, it's a good purchase. So anyway,
now you just have to get a cover for the fucking thing.
Yeah, that's the story for the brisket. We're at 191 degrees, which technically means it's food safe.
Technically, I mean,
we could pull it right now and fridge it because or not fridge it, but cooler it, because once it's at 191, it'll keep raising in temperature as it
I don't know, rests. Man. The master class I did.
Oh, I watched something.
What's that? Oh God, his name.
Yeah, I can go on YouTube too,
Aaron,
dude.
I think it's Aaron from the best barbecue place in probably the world, Texas.
He's taken this guy's word as gospel. He doesn't know his name or where he works. Or any of his accolades.
I did 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But he said leave it on and don't pull it till 204, 205. So
all right. Well, I mean, the rate it's going, I don't think we're gonna have a lot of problems.
Nah, I don't think so.
I wanted to pull it half an hour ago. Like
time is it now?
I wanted to estimate it at 6.
6:30. I mean,
I don't want to be carving it at like 10. We could. When this is done,
you can crank it up to 300.
When this is done in about half an hour, we'll pull it. And
what's the temperature at now?
191. If I had my phone,
I'm gonna run outside and crank it to 300 real quick.
No.
Yeah, that's fine.
No,
you can do it. You can crank to 325.
You know what? When Mick gets here, we'll tell him to do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mick is at the supermarket getting accoutrement for everything.
By the way, the reason why you're supposed to leave it, because technically the meat's cooked when it gets to it means beef. So
165 is cooked. 190 is tender because brisket is a tough cut of meat.
Yeah.
But then it needs to be well done.
The masterclass guy says so you leave it in at 204, 205 because that's when all the good stuff starts to break down and
so collagen starts breaking at about 180, but the longer you leave it past 180, as long as you're going slow and you're not like pumping it up to like mad heat 375 or up, it'll break down the collagen instead of hardening it. So when you get like gristle, that means it was cooked way too fast and way too hot. When it's like kind of floppy and, I mean, for lack of a better term, greasy, right? When it's more unctuous, then that means that it's being cooked very low, very slow for a long period of time.
And you're supposed to, they do the wobble test.
Yeah.
You pick the brisket up in the middle with a towel because it's really hot.
Yeah.
And you kind of jiggle it. And if it has the right amount of jiggle.
I got to say, though, I hate that like shit on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter where they like, people just like take their food to show how good it is. They just like squish it.
That's a huge no-no.
And like they squish it like, look at all the juices. Yeah. Like
they cut the whole brisket in half. They pick it up. They point the inside of the meat to the camera and squeeze it.
Yeah.
And because brisket is 2 different muscles, one on top of the other with a fat layer in between.
They're expelling all of the good stuff.
Yeah. But that's like a no-no.
Yeah. And the best thing about brisket, honestly, the reason like bigger is better is because you can store it and it always tastes better the next day. When you cook it, you're basically rendering all of that fat in between those 2 muscle groups. And then when you fridge it and wait till the next day, that fat solidifies into like a nice pillowy, buttery texture.
Ooh, so that with a little bit of mustard.
You have that on like a nice slice of like ciabatta.
Bit of horseradish, bit of hot sauce.
Something spicy on it, and it takes it to another level.
Speaking of which, should we mention the name of the hot sauce that we like on it that I just...
he's using the royal we. He's British. It's hard to kick.
There's a great hot sauce. I'll give you a good recommendation for a hot sauce if you want it, but it's got a ridiculous name. So it's called... Well, it's called Dr. Fart Pounder's
colon cleanser.
Yeah. And it's sort of like
it's very mustardy.
It's a mixture between a hot sauce and a mustard, yeah. It's really good. Yeah. And I just bought a couple of bottles around today.
It's really tasty. Yeah. I like it. So we're doing brisket again, and we just spent 15, 20, 80, 30 minutes talking about this.
Time to move on?
Yeah, time to move on. Let's go on to pretty much everything here is stuff that I have been out of the loop on.
Should we get rid of the Alec Baldwin thing first?
Let's briefly do it at the top.
Over it. So if you're at all connected in any way to the entertainment news, you'll know that I think last year there was a tragedy on set where
Alec Baldwin, the famous actor, he stole a gun, and he held it directly at the director and cinematographer of the film that he was participating in.
And shot them with the intention to kill them.
He said, "Helena Hutchinson, you are the worst cinematographer ever. I'm going to kill you right now on purpose." And then fired the gun and just kept firing like until it went click.
I mean, as ridiculous as that sounds, and it's not. I mean,
people
it's not
believe
funny, but
that.
the reason why Adrian is saying it that way is because he's now getting. I think he's been charged with.
I think second degree or involuntary.
In involuntary manslaughter or something else, which is totally ridiculous if you have any inkling of how film sets work and how gun safety on film sets work.
Yeah, it's a dangerous. First off, it's a dangerous precedent to set for the entire industry. Secondly, it's not a safe charge to make. I mean,
there's no way.
Honestly,
I can't imagine it's actually going to stick. So what's happened was basically the prosecutors in, I want to say
Arizona, I think.
Arizona, and it sounds like the judge is just.
It's not the judge. It's the district attorney.
The district attorney is just trying to. I don't know what she's doing. She's trying to make either a point or
it's a name making case, right?
I feel like it is.
Whoever they are, they're trying to build up their career, and they. There's blood in the water.
The reasons. I mean, in fact, let me find I'll find the reasons behind it.
So essentially, what happened was Alec Baldwin on the set of this film called Rust that he was co-producing. He was not the producer. He's not the main producer on it.
He was his quote producer.
As the star, he forms a company, and that company goes and has some creative control over the process of the film and
I believe they are
narrative.
Creative producers.
They're creative producers, essentially. Mm-hmm. So he was acting in this film, and the story goes the first AD handed him a gun while they were doing rehearsals.
Well, yeah. So they broke for lunch. The first AD they broke for lunch.
The first AD couldn't locate the armor.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like
that's the official story.
So maybe. But quite possibly maybe.
I mean,
basically, while most of the crew were at lunch, the first AD, the director, the cinematographer, DP Helena Hutchinson, who ended up dying, Alec Baldwin, and I think the script supervisor, went onto
do a rehearsal.
Yeah, went onto the set to do a rehearsal for a scene where Alec Baldwin has to draw the gun and point it towards the camera.
Which, by the way, totally normal. Yeah. Every film you've ever seen with a gun has a down barrel shot. It's this shot. Everybody's done it. There's always somebody behind that camera. Unless the camera's doing some wacky motion controlled movements, there's always somebody there.
Yeah.
The DP was setting the frame to do the action they asked him to click.
So what happened was the
first AD.
The first AD supposedly, well, I mean, no, it is still happened. The first AD picked up the gun from the armorer's cart, declared it as a cold gun, meaning it's safe, there's nothing in it, there's no blanks. You announce it to everyone.
There's no rounds at all.
Yep.
What are you guys doing?
Podcast?
That's interesting.
You want to come in?
Podcast.
Pardon?
What kind of podcast?
The kind where we talk about how Alec Baldwin intentionally murdered that woman.
You should have done that.
Yeah.
You want to come in? There's another mic and there's a headset.
You literally just crossed camera twice.
Shit will get off the pot.
Yeah, this is an audio medium, so it's great when we don't say anything.
Yeah. We'll cut this bit, but
oh my
you want to be in or you don't want to be in?
I'll stay over here.
I'm heading out.
Where you going?
What's that doing there?
I don't know. What's what doing where?
You son of a bitch. All right, I guess we have to keep it in. Cheers. Can you get a bag from upstairs for like a gift bag? Just ask Mom.
Well, if he has one, where's mine?
Man, I haven't had one of these in years.
Let me have a sip.
No.
Oh, no, yes.
I haven't tried one of those in a long time.
It tastes like soda. It's terrible. Anyway, keep going with the official narrative.
Let's start that a little bit again. So,
No. I mean, just keep you
you declare normally the first AD will declare a cold gun, meaning the gun is safe. There's nothing in it. It's not a hot gun. And normally you would show that it's empty. But normally, crew's busy, busting around. Not always looking at the AD. So when you hear cold gun on set, it means the gun is safe. It's not got a blank in it that's going to be fired. You don't need to have ear protection on. You don't need to be being careful of how far you are away from it.
There are checks and balances within the film industry so that everybody can maintain their own job while not worrying about a bunch of other incidental stuff that's going on in a different department.
Yeah. So he declares a cold gun, gives it to Alec Baldwin, and Alec Baldwin then practices drawing the gun and pointing it at the...
And firing.
I don't think he was practicing firing. He was practicing drawing it, and he was practicing it pointing at the camera.
Yeah.
And during this, the gun went off. The bullet, I believe, went through Helena Hutchinson and hit the director in the shoulder or something like that.
They both were hospitalized.
Both were hospitalized. Helena Hutchinson.
I think they were airlifted out too.
Yeah. She died. Huge upset in the film business.
Because she was like at the top of her,
She was like a big up and coming DP. That set had a lot of issues with it. It was like a supposedly low budget.
Well, it was also during the whole IATSE strike.
Yeah. The whole camera crew apparently walked that morning due to concerns over like unsafe practices, not getting paid properly.
Also specifically firearms. So
apparently there had already been 2 negligent discharges earlier in the week.
So the main thing that I want to get across here is that so first off, Alec Baldwin as an actor doesn't have responsibility for whatever's in the gun. That is not the way film sets work. It is not his job to think about that. The actor's sole purpose on set is to be in an emotional state that can be captured on the camera. They should not have the responsibility of thinking about anything that's not just their performance. So he has no responsibility over it. At least within the industry. He was handed a gun and ensured that it was cold when not only was it not cold, it was hot, meaning that it could have had anything with gunpowder in it.
It could have had a blank in it.
A blank?
That's what
already is bad
gun
enough.
means on set, which is...
But
it had a live round in it. Or maybe it had multiple. I mean, who knows?
So what you're going to hear a lot online is it had a live round, and there's a lot of obfuscation around that term. In the industry, live round means anything with gunpowder. So a blank is a live round. A squib round, live round.
Yeah.
Range ammunition, which you take to a range with an actual bullet round in it that shoots out of the barrel, that's also a live round. It's easier to call it range ammunition than to say live round, because live round could mean a whole bunch of litany of different things.
So so just to be clarified, the DA office, the charges are against Baldwin and the set's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, and they include 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Negligent use of a deadly weapon charges were also filed against Rust assistant director David Halls, who has pleaded no contest and has entered into a plea deal.
Yeah,
which is also wild.
So the AD and the armor bear, at least within the film industry, bear the sole responsibility of what happened.
They bear, possibly the producers, because there's also, but they're the main culprits, the first AD and the armorer. The producers also could bear responsibility because maybe they weren't given enough, maybe those departments weren't given enough time or money, or there's all sorts of things. So I can't find off on my phone at the moment. But so one of the things that allegedly the armor is saying is that she wasn't given enough time with Baldwin to do
gun safety.
Gun safety. Apparently had a gun. He missed his gun safety thing, and then he did a half an hour gun safety thing on set where he was on the phone.
But
allegedly.
But the thing is, that doesn't excuse bringing range ammunition. There's at the base level, there is zero reason to have range ammunition on any set ever at all.
Well,
anytime you see a bullet fly through an object and pierce it and explode, that's either a B-roll team that's highly controlled, or those are squibs that have a charge on the object that's being fired through.
Well,
so there's no case where you should have that ammunition.
I want to set up I want to just explain what the DA is charging him with. The reason she set forward, which off the top of my head, one was the fact that he supposedly missed his firearms training. Another was the fact that he was the one holding the gun and he failed to do the required industry standard safety checks when he was handed the gun.
Yes.
Which is such an insane thing to say, and it just shows you how out of touch the DA's office is with how film sets actually work. Well, she said one of the things she said was that she spoke to multiple A-list celebrities who have said that what he's done is wrong, and they always check the gun, which is apparently one of them was, I'm pretty sure one of them was George Clooney. I've been on so many sets with guns when they're using blanks, and an actor is treated with the biggest kid. They're basically like a toddler, and you don't trust them to do anything because they're actors. They're like in the moment.
Because
you don't trust them not to fucking point the gun at another actor. Just like woo, wave it around. And I've seen that done, and I've seen armorers and ADs and like grips shout at the actor.
But that's the armor, AD, and grips job.
Yes,
that is their responsibility. So key grip and AD are the last bastion of safety on the set.
So point being, when the gun is given to an actor, they shouldn't be fucking touching that gun. They hold it, do your action with it,
and then give
it directly back. Yeah,
back to either the AD or the armor.
Yeah, you don't open if you're given a revolver and you're an actor. You don't open up the chamber, start fucking with it, start like closing it again. You might if there was like a blank thing going on. If you were going to be firing some blanks, normally what happens is the armor and the first AD and the actor holding the gun will make a big announcement.
Yeah.
Safety meeting. Hey, this is what's going to happen. They'll describe exactly what's going to happen. They'll describe exactly how many rounds are going to be going off. Then they will show them loading the rounds so everybody can see. Close the gun. The gun is held by the armorer till you're rolling. Then the gun is given to the actor. The actor does the action. Maybe they fire the rounds in a safe direction, and then blanks, not rounds, in a safe direction. And then as soon as you call cut, the gun is taken off of that actor by the armorer.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly controlled thing.
A lot of people are also talking... I mean, a lot of people talk out of their ass about this because they just don't understand it.
Well, there's a huge thing. One of the things he's being charged with really because he was holding the firearms. He didn't follow the 5 rules of gun safety.
Oh, yeah, but that's not...
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So...
that does not exist on a film set when you're...
an actor.
When you're an actor.
Yeah.
Actors, you don't want to give them that responsibility.
The bottom line is that the armorer was commingling range ammunition with blanks with fakes.
Yeah.
Right?
And
cold rounds, blanks, and range ammunition were all in the same box and being loaded into the same guns.
Which is insane because they look different as well.
There was discussion, actual leaked text messages from people who were on set talking about how the guns were being taken out offset during the day, during breaks, to plink away at cans.
Yeah.
Because they're rare firearms. They're antiques.
More damning than that is this. So this armorer is like 21, I think. Her dad is a huge, really famous
legend.
Armorer in the film business. They're countersuing, and they're also suing the company that supplied them the range ammunition, and they're claiming what the fuck is the word? Like conspiracy and tampering, which is insane because there was text found between Hannah Gutierrez-Reed and the supplier on the previous job that she did, where she says something like, "Can I?" Basically, in short story, she basically asks, "Can I put hot ammunition through the gun that they're using?" And the armorer says, "What's hot ammunition?" And she clarifies with actual ammunition. She said something like actual ammunition with huge loads. And he says, "Don't ever put hot ammunition into a prop gun."
It all comes down to how good. It all comes down
and
to
also
how
cut off contact with her supposedly.
So it all comes down to how willing Alec Baldwin and his defense are to throw her entirely under the bus.
And the first AD.
The first AD already took a plea deal. He's not up for trial.
That is insane. That is absolutely insane.
But that's how you win, right? The first person to plead is the first person who's out the gate. Doesn't have to deal with anything. He pleads guilty. He gets a shorter charge, and anybody who he implicates is.
By the way, if Alec
used as
Baldwin gets
evidence.
charged, I believe it's a minimum of 5 years jail sentence.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of.
I just can't see. I cannot see that happening.
It's unlikely, and unfortunately, a lot of people have made this into a political issue regarding Alec Baldwin's political stance.
Yep.
He has historically been quite anti-gun, and
a bunch of armchair warriors on the internet forums copying. Oh, wow! You should never point a gun at somebody. You don't understand how a film set works.
Yeah, I mean, if you've watched a John Wick movie, you've seen literally the shot where it's down barrel. Any James Bond movie,
Yep.
any Avengers movie, like anytime there's a gun on set, it is a real gun. They are functioning.
Yep.
They call them prop guns. They're real guns. They're just guns that are used as props.
They're called props. The props department is property department. That's what it stands for. The gun is a prop if it's the property of the production. Doesn't mean it's a fake gun.
It is they're all live. They're all real guns with fully functioning parts. They all rack.
Sometimes,
they all fire.
sometimes you have a rubber gun if you're doing a full. Sometimes you have like a replica gun that doesn't have a firing pin in or something like that.
But most of the time it's real guns.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hello again.
Brisket fair.
193.
Throw it up to 300.
Yeah.
Temperature.
Kick up the temperature to 300. All right. Yeah. So anyway, that's the Alec Baldwin situation.
Yeah, we just wanted to talk about it because it's such a ridiculous charge that. Yeah.
You know who's not a ridiculous charge?
Who?
Are we allowed to talk about this?
I don't know.
The wobble lubba dub dub.
If you want to talk about it, sure.
Yeah. So on the topic of actors getting embroiled and stuff, we have Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty, also Lemon Grab from Adventure Time.
Is that the same person?
Same guy. Yeah, that was his like big thing.
Huh.
Yeah, he is charged in Orange County with felony domestic abuse and false imprisonment. Felony domestic abuse in Orange County is mandatory minimum of 7 years prison.
Damn.
And it
seems like it's pretty likely that it's still true, right?
I don't know how likely that it is, whether or not it is true, right? Because that's not our call to make, and the allegations that have come out are so vague and
I haven't really looked into it, but yeah.
The allegation that's being charged is from his longtime girlfriend. And the allegation was made directly to the police. It wasn't like a social media thing. It got picked up because of that. Other people on social media have run with it and had their own allegations, but those aren't part of the charge.
Oh, interesting.
They're all their own individual things, right?
Well,
that's a media shitstorm happening, but the actual the actual incidents related to the charge are from his longtime girlfriend, and they're regarding domestic abuse. That
what does that actually mean?
So felony domestic abuse, the way it's defined, at least the degree that he's being charged, is any long-standing altercation between, civil partners, who that occurs chronically over a long period of time, and results in bodily harm that is observable. I think that those are the terms that was given. I don't have my phone, so I can't look up the actual thing.
Yeah.
But basically, that means bruises, broken bones, handprints, the whole gamut. So in order to be charged with it, there has to at least be some evidence presented that can, or police reports,
something
or anything that can bolster that.
And so,
case.
what is the other one? False imprisonment.
False imprisonment. So there's there's multiple degrees of false imprisonment, right? The basis is you're in this room, you can't leave. Me preventing you from leaving is false imprisonment. I can falsely imprison somebody on the street, right? I can stand in their way or block their way with my car and tell them that I'm going to cause harm to them if they leave. That's a higher charge. The specific charge that he has with regards to false imprisonment is trapping somebody in an area and telling them that great harm will come to them if they leave.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know how true any of the allegation is, simply because it's not made public.
Yep.
And also, how would I know if it's true or not?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
That's something for the trial to...
There's a line between innocent until proven guilty,
but
also believe the allegations that are being made in good faith.
But so the interesting thing I'd say we should talk about is, one, this is one of the biggest animated he's one of the creators and the voice actor is most of the characters in one of the biggest
Animated shows
of all time. Are really
it's not all time.
It's a huge cultural
of the last 10 years.
Yeah,
absolutely.
which is Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And the show has obviously cut ties with him, and they are going ahead with the next season now.
Yeah. Well, the crazier thing is that the allegations must have some merit if the district attorney is willing to charge a celebrity with something that has a mandatory minimum of 7 years without the allegations being fully public.
Yeah.
That's you either have some merit to it and you think you can get a conviction, or you are the greenest, hungriest DA of all time.
Yeah, I mean, well, they've already cut ties, and they are. I mean, they're in production, I guess. So it's going to be interesting. Are they going to get new voice actors to do Rick and Morty? I mean, there's plenty of people that can do a good impression of
of
those
course.
voices.
I mean, it's not really a hard voice to do. You got a prepubescent boy and like a burping grandpa.
Yeah,
but
or are they going to change the storyline somehow?
But I mean, with regards to the story of Rick and Morty, like the last season 5 was a high point. Season 6 has been fucking terrible.
I don't think I've watched any
It's
of it.
riddled with like weird fetish shit and like odd plots.
Huh.
I'm not a huge I haven't been a huge fan. Like seasons 3 and 4 were kind of crappy. Season 5 was good, and then season 6 has been shit. But personally, the Justin Roiland episodes and the concept episodes that feel more like his voice for me have been way better than the Dan Harmon centric ones.
Yeah,
and Dan Harmon also famously a slightly abusive person.
I think he had some.
He has allegations. I mean, at the very least, he's constantly apologizing for shit.
Yeah.
I think he's a good artist, but he really has trouble sticking the landing a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Huge fan of Community. I wish him the best and really want that fucking movie to come out sometime soon.
Was it 7 seasons in the movie? 6 seasons?
6 seasons in the movie. Yeah. They finally got greenlit for the movie. They're in pre-production, I think, right now.
But
anyway, I'm just saying, if Adult Swim wants to kind of, leave it as it is, right? Season 6 of Rick and Morty wasn't that strong. I think a lot of people dropped off of it. They have really great merchandising.
It's such a moneymaker. There's no way they're going to let it slide.
But it's already been in such a kind of like slope.
For your opinion on watching the TV show, but people love that show.
No, I mean viewer numbers have gone down markedly for the last like 3 seasons.
I don't know. I've not looked into it.
It's kind of funny.
I mean, it's still such a huge cultural phenomenon. They've got merchandise everywhere.
I guess. All I'm saying is if they...
This Adult Swim's like, what other shows do they have?
They have a couple... they had a couple shows.
Yeah.
They canceled all the good
ones. That's what I mean. Like, what other shows do they have now?
If they wanted to, like, put their budget towards something really good and, like, have really good, like, 12 episodes of television, these guys over here have been working on a movie... and they're like
Adrian's pointing to
post-production.
The Bros.
Yeah, I mean, Doc Hammer and Jackson Public, they're not sex pests. They don't have any active allegations against them, and their show got canceled because it was taking too long. Even though like the break between seasons was about the same between Rick and Morty seasons.
So speaking of getting cancelled, which we've already been talking about, we're going to move on to slightly less. Divisive subjects. HBO, which Adventure Bros was on, which got it's now owned by Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yeah.
And if you've been on HBO Max, you've sort of seen the decline in the platform. All the good stuff seems to be getting removed.
I don't know if we could say definitively it's a decline, but it is definitely a change in direction.
It's a departure from what HBO Max used to be. If you're like a cinephile, that's the streaming service that I would have recommended to you because it had tons of the criteria.
I mean, we have multiple times on this podcast. You can go back to episode 1. Re-listen to all of our podcasts, please. You can go back and listen, and we talk pretty constantly about how Netflix is fucking up and HBO Max has taken a lot of the cinema quality stuff. And now we've kind of walked back.
If you go on, I mean, I've never watched any of the shows or any shows of the type that they're recommending me now when I go on HBO Max and I see my home screen with all the recommendations.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, for me, just garbage, like pushing reality crap. Yeah. That I'm not interested in.
So,
like, sort of the shows that Discovery turned into when that took a
dive
into making just cheap boilerplate content,
laundry shows.
But anyway, so HBO Max has been removing a lot of shows. So if you've now, I believe Westworld, which was a huge show, the fourth season, last season finished, and then immediately got taken off of HBO Max, I believe, right?
For good reason.
Well, you don't like it, but people love that show.
Season 1 took 12 episodes to get to the point a 90-minute movie got to in 1970.
So people would suspect that these big shows that were on there got removed because it means that you can't watch them, so you don't have to pay out royalties. I think was the like
theory.
Thought. Yeah. But so HBO announced a couple of days ago that a lot of this removed content is going to be moved onto what they call the FAST, literally FAST platforms. So Tubi and Roku, which is I think it's all free with ads.
Yeah.
So now you can go watch what they're going to be moving all their.
It's the streaming equivalent of basic cable.
Yeah, they're going to be moving that content onto those platforms. Who knows why? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, maybe there's a different way of paying out royalties based on ads versus based on.
It may be a syndication thing. It may also be because it would be an onboarding platform.
Yeah,
it just seems if you like this show that's on Roku, sign up for HBO Max, Discovery, Warner Bros.
But why not? Hey, the show that you want to watch is on HBO Max
because it's a treat. It's like a teaser. You give the people something to watch first, and then they have to sign up for more. It's the film.
Why not just put an ad tier into HBO?
It's the film and television equivalent of the Coke dealer giving you like the primo shit for the first time, and then giving you all the crap that's spliced with fucking drain cleaner.
I guess. I just, for me, it's like, why not just make the best platform that you can with all the best content you can get on there? Have a free tier with ads and have a paid tier.
Yeah, look, man, I agree.
Yeah, it's weird.
But
one thing that HBO has done right recently, very right, huge kudos, is the Last of Us TV show. So
I still haven't watched it.
Historically, game adaptations and anime adaptations have kind of tanked. So you had the Halo adaptation, which, did we talk about that before?
I might have gone on a little bit about it.
Basically, this Halo, one of the most beloved game franchises of all time, had, between movies and TV shows, it had been in production for 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Kept hitting roadblock. Then suddenly, was it Amazon that did it? Who did that?
No, that was
Paramount Plus.
Paramount
Plus did a TV show, and everyone hates the TV show, quite rightly so, because it has some good CGI, but basically it's not good. And it
didn't even have good CGI.
It departs so far from what the game is. The writers just basically,
they made their own story. It's like a DeviantArt fan fiction of what Halo is.
It's people that you can't see any love or reverence of the show or of the characters in the show from what they've done to those characters, turn the story into.
There simply isn't any. The people who wrote it didn't care about the product that they were writing.
Okay, and so where would you put Halo show? Netflix's Cowboy Bebop live action. Which one's better though, in your mind? Which one's worse?
The Cowboy Bebop show had better talent attached to it. That's as far as I'm willing to go. They're about on the same tier though of quality, and I am the same tier of like missing the point.
Cowboy
Bebop was the original show, like Watanabe's show, is a gritty film noir meditation on being past the peak. You peaked 20 years ago, and your life is like just like this until you die.
There's always those adaptations. There's this. The showrunners and the creators always seem to have this callous.
Because they want to make their own thing.
They have this callous disdain for the fan base, the original fan base.
I mean, we talked about this. I think did we talk about She-Hulk on this podcast?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing where it was very rare before to see an adaptation of something that had vocal disdain for the original fans.
Yeah. It's very strange. They come out of the gate.
Yeah.
Before the show,
just swing in.
Before the show airs, they start shitting on the original fan base.
Yeah.
They'll throw out a bunch of terms, call it like, I don't know, name a term, and then they go and they make this thing that they've sort of preemptively made an excuse for it to be hated. Because, if you hate this, you're sexist. If you hate this, you're racist. If you hate this, you're a misogynist. Or you're...
honestly, with Cowboy Bebop, the big problem was that it simply wasn't good. And it's the same thing for Halo. Formalistic levels.
They're simply just not good.
They were not there. The writing was weak. The plots were weak.
And
the worst thing between the two of them is that the cinematography is completely uninspired. Whoever was storyboarding those shows, I think they did it while they were asleep. Like, there's no understanding of shot choice. There's no dimension to the shots.
Yeah.
It's flat shots. Like, it's all in like wide or close up. There's no atmosphere to it at all. It's not filmmaking. It's literally just paint by numbers.
And I personally just can't get past the disdain for the original fan base. The ethos for the shows is the core thing that makes Halo is not in the TV show, whether it's a complete misunderstanding from the creative team
or an intentional thing.
They just don't care.
And so
we're mentioning this because
we're mentioning this because Last of Us came out and it's apparently really good.
It's really I've watched first 3 episodes are out. The 4th episode comes out tomorrow.
Well, so I think for me it's the quality of writing, and I don't want to get into the James Gunn of it all with the new DC slate, but that's also right on the same level where, you know, it's hire good writers and hire good storytellers and then have them build a story, and then you shoot that story instead of greenlight a project, cough, cough, Obi-Wan, cough, cough, Boba Fett, and then write it while you're filming it. Never has that ever turned out well. I mean, Iron Man 1 is kind of okay because of it, but, you know, Quantum of Solace is the ultimate counterexample. You write a movie while it's shooting, it turns out pretty fucking piss poor. So with The Last of Us, they hired.
They had. I can't. Let me look it up.
It's Neil Druckmann, who's one of the co-creators of the game, and the guy they brought, like the film guy they brought in, is the dude who did fucking Chernobyl, which is excellent. I finally got around to watching it.
Did you watch all of it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. I didn't realize.
Fantastic.
We'll talk about that because I want to just go.
But
yeah, so it's Craig Mazin.
Yeah, Craig Mazin,
who has also done.
His career is
pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
He started off doing. He did Scary Movie 3, Scary Movie 4, superhero movie, The Hangover Part 2. He was the writer of. Hangover Part 3 he wrote. Then he did. Let's see. Then he did Chernobyl, which was incredible. I mean, and The Last of Us.
Chernobyl's fantastic, and I think The Last of Us fits very well tonally with that. So I'm excited to watch it.
It goes to show that you take it can be done. You can make these shows incredible where the people that the players of the game and people that are new to it, the franchise, universally love it. And you can follow the story or you can diverge from the story, which is what The Last of Us has done, both in separate episodes.
But I think that there's a lot of people talking about how this is the first good video game adaptation. I feel like that happens on a weekly basis now.
Lara Croft was great.
We're not bereft of great video game adaptations. It's just that the bad ones are so fucking bad.
I can't think of many other.
Arcane.
Oh yeah, actually.
Arcane, fucking excellent. Sonic the Hedgehog. As far as Sonic the Hedgehog goes, the best we're gonna get. You know, like I'm not a big Sonic guy, but like,
think, what are the ones?
Detective Pikachu was pretty fucking great.
Doom.
Yeah,
the original movie.
The original Doom movie wasn't like a great Doom movie,
it was fun,
but at least it was enjoyable.
It's a fun movie. Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, I'll give a half and half.
Those movies are fun.
Yeah, but we've had they weren't Resident Evil. You know,
maybe,
they're not 100% there. But all I'm saying is, recently in the last couple of years, and I'm sure if you gave me like 5 minutes with an internet connection, I could dig up a whole bunch of shit that came out. Fucking the Dota game, the Dota TV show that came out on Netflix, fucking incredible.
Which one?
DOTA, Dota 2.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, it came out like a year before Arcane, and like everybody was like, "How the fuck did they make this?" And then Arcane comes out, and it's like, Jesus
Arcane
Christ!
Basically redefined what you could do with animation in a TV show.
So I don't think that it's
now everyone's trying to be Arcane.
Yeah, I don't think that it's like a problem with video games. I think it's a problem with the people making these things. A lot of Hollywood types go and they see, here's a market space that we can capture. How do we use this product to expand into a 4-quadrant audience, make the most bland thing possible that everybody can kind of accept. And how do we get it as cheap as possible? Well, we're going to need A-list talent, so that's a couple $100 million. Oh, we're going to need a lot of great visuals, so that's going to be a couple $100 million for VFX. Where can we skimp? We can cut costs on director. We can cut costs on writers. We can cut costs on pre-production. We can just like pour that into post. So you end up with these $300 million projects or more for TV shows.
Somehow.
That are fucking terrible because they cut costs on the basis of the storyline. And usually they bring in... And this isn't a problem that's specific to video games either. I mean, adaptations or sequels have had this problem for a long time. I mean, you look at the Star Wars sequels, you look at fucking Ghostbusters, you look at... like How I Met Your Father is out right now. That's kind of like that on the same level. It just refuses to capture the magic of the original series. That 90s show is doing fairly well with that, like, kind of breath. Yeah. Like, here's all the stuff you loved about the original show. It's a little different. It doesn't really hit its stride. By episode 10 of the original, like, that 70s show, you knew all the characters' names. They all had emotions. Like, there were solid emotional beats. By 10 episodes of this show, it's like I don't know any of these characters except for the main girl and maybe one of the kids.
Well, but bringing it back to
but all of these, like, it's a problem to do with bringing in new writing teams to write projects that they're not passionate about. They don't feel anything for them. It's just a job.
Well, do you want to talk
about...
So
they don't respect the fan base that's built in, and they try to expand it to a fan base that doesn't exist.
Do you want to talk about what episode 3 of The Last of Us is, right?
I've heard parts of it. I haven't.
So it's basically a love story.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I heard it's really excellent.
Fucking fantastic.
We should wrap this up though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, the only backlash it's got is from a small minority of people that basically just essentially just homophobic people that don't want to see a gay.
You're gonna get that.
Of course, you're gonna get
anything.
That. Of course, you get that. But you have a small minority of people that are review bombing that episode, and then you have the rest of the world that's going, this is absolutely incredible. Which is what happened. I mean, that episode blew me away. The first 2 episodes were good. I wasn't blown away by it, but this episode, as soon as I finished it made me want to go and play the game again. That's what a good video game adaptation should do.
Yeah, I mean, with Halo, you don't do a Master Chief story. Do Sergeant Johnson's story. Do fucking Mendez. Do somebody
ODST,
else.
Basically.
Do an ODST game or an ODST show. Do a Marine show. I mean, hell, do a fully animated thing about the Covenant. Just don't make it about the main guy because you want to capture the spirit of being on the ground. Part of the magic of the first 3-4 Halo games is that you're the one super soldier fighting among normal people. And yeah, you're the hero, but you're also functionally saving all these other dudes.
So I got some good news for you, actually, sort of.
No.
Corridor Digital just released a video today. They are working on a Halo short that looks really good.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll have pretty awful dialogue because it's Corridor Digital, but
I like the dialogue. Depends what they're doing.
Most of their dialogue is just plug and play kind of shit.
Oh, you mean for their specific shorts? Well, this one looks really good.
For most of their shorts, it's like catchphrase, bridging dialogue, catchphrase, tag. It's not bad, but it's like
I got some videos to show you that I think will change your mind. But
no, I mean that's great. They'll do a great job because they at least understand why the people who play the games like to play the games.
Yeah, they've taken
and they understand it better than fucking 343. The guys who've been
actual
producing
in-game models.
Yeah,
they're using.
Well, I mean, from which games?
ODST.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah.
Anyway, let's finish on something. This has been a rather negative podcast. Let's finish on something positive.
Do we have anything positive? We don't have anything positive.
Yeah, we're gonna have delicious brisket soon.
We're gonna have a delicious brisket. It is at $195. I have people asking me my address and everything.
Smoke some salmon as well.
Yeah, we got some smoked salmon and some.
I'm trying to think of something interesting that in the news.
Spy balloon. I don't even know what that is. I feel like I fell asleep and I woke up and everybody was talking about it like it was institutional.
I mean, I haven't really been the spy balloon.
There was a fucking balloon that flew over the country, and apparently China has something to do with it.
I just can't be bothered to.
Yeah, government shot it down.
Yeah.
There's another one apparently.
Is there?
Yeah, I think there was a second one.
God.
Yeah. We may be under attack.
One thing we should do.
By the time you see this episode, we'll all be dead. Who knows?
One thing that I do want to do, maybe next episode, is we've talked about this off the podcast, but if you know anything, not to get political or anything, but if you've heard of George Santos.
Oh,
That his name?
George Santos. He's fucking hilarious.
He's
hilarious in like an observational way.
Yeah.
I don't think that what he's doing is okay.
We want to, maybe next episode or the episode after, we want to theorize a movie in the future about a character who just does what George Santos has done. And it would be like a comedy version of Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah. My favorite version of that.
Maybe that'll be the next episode.
On Reddit, somebody commented when like the whole first thing was breaking about him, like, this guy's like the main guy from Catch Me If You Can if he was weird and dumb.
And on that note, let's finish the podcast.
Well, so this has been the Abridged Chicken Coop Podcast.
Yeah. Next time will be more fun.
Next time
less complaining.
Yeah, less complaining, less Smirnoff Ice.
There's
I
a lot
fucking hate
to
these things.
Lot to complain about this time, I guess.
Well,
I mean, I'm super excited. Like, I'm really excited about The Last of Us episode 4 coming out tomorrow.
I am sure.
We didn't talk. Okay, next episode. You need to watch Avatar 2. You have to watch it. I watched it. It's incredible. Incredible. Most impressive CGI VFX I've ever seen.
Avatar.
Hands down.
Interest in
And
Avatar.
did you watch The Fablemans last night?
No.
Okay, so you got to do that as well.
Didn't.
So next episode we'll
I slept
do.
last night. Avatar is just horse girl behavior for men who drive lifted trucks.
No.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
watch. You got to watch
it's
this new movie.
straight up
It's
horse girls.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Sure.
You're gonna be.
It's blue cat people.
You know
in
when James
tactical
Cameron
gear.
said, "Hey, if you have to take a piss in the middle of it, it's okay because you'll just see the bit you missed when you come back.
Yeah.
You watch it twice."
Twat
He was
move.
right, dude.
Oh
You're
my
gonna
God.
watch the movie and you're gonna say, "Damn, I want to go and see that again in IMAX.
I
I want to pay $35 for a ticket."
I'm not gonna do that.
He's right. Okay, James Cameron is
All
the
right.
man. He's the goat.
Well, this
And
has
he
been
knows
the
exactly what he's doing.
This has been the
He
Chicken
spent
Coop Podcast.
14 years making a movie
I'm-
and then made enough money back in the box office to finance the next 3 movies.
My name is Adrian. This is Jake Sully. He's like a baby. He do not know what to do.
Adrian, I see you. I see you.
Oh my ticaya. Fucking garbage. All right.
So
cheers.
good.
Bye.
So good.